You know how the saying goes, a picture can say 1,000 words, but what some end up telling you may not be what you expect at all. Some have darker stories to tell hidden behind a facade of joy, happiness, or accomplishment. These are 5 of those rather normal photos with backstories to send chills up your spine. The Victorian era was a weird time as electrotherapy solved everything. People were scared of vampires, and they had a rather different way of remembering their loved ones when they would pass away. When a family member passed, they would be brought in and put in dresses and suits and made up to pose for one last photo op. Photographers would have a bag of tricks to prop up the bodies and make them seem as if they are alive or sleeping. It gets even easier to figure out who in the photo is dead, as the photo takes seconds or even minutes to pull off the shot correctly. Those that are alive would be seen with small imperfections around them, as they would try to hold a pose. The dead, however, would usually be perfect, as they were perfectly still throughout the entire photo shoot. What has made this even worse is the staggering amount of examples that I've seen where it's just children. There aren't many examples that I've seen with just adults. My assumption is that by the time they were adults, there would be few pictures like this already, so it wouldn't be done as often. Children, however, likely wouldn't have as many photos, if any, like this by the time that they had passed, so in some cases, this would be the only way to have a photo of them, to remember them by. But that's only my assumption, though. Gabe and Tina Watson were on a honeymoon trip to Australia to scuba dive to the Great Barrier Reef. Prior to that, though, they decided to dive to the SS Yongala, a popular dive spot of a passenger ship that sank in 1911. Within the first few minutes of the dive, Gabe returned to the surface, saying that currents were stronger than expected. When Tina requested to return to the dive rope, she accidentally knocked off Gabe's mask and air regulator. When Gabe regained his sight, Tina was falling out of sight, and he had to surface for help. The issue is, there was a witness that said otherwise. The other diver said they saw the entire incident, where Gabe shut off Tina's air supply and essentially bear hugged her until she stopped flailing. He dropped her to the ocean floor below after turning her air supply back on. Another diver by the name of Gary Stempler caught Tina in the background of a picture of his own wife. Another diver is seen behind her, racing to help Tina. Nothing could be done. After a 40-minute attempt to revive her, Tina was gone. Gabe eventually went to serve only 12 months in prison, citing that he was a certified rescue diver and that he made no attempt to save or help her. Gabe was extradited back to the United States, where criminal charges were pursued but eventually dropped. This photo of a man by the name of Harold Agnew is leaving what looks to be a military building and is carrying what? A lunchbox? A toolbox? No, that is the core for what would come to be the Fat Man atomic bomb that would be dropped on Nagasaki, Japan, and would be the factor to lead to the end of World War II in 1945. That core in his hand would be responsible for ending the lives of over 100,000 people directly from the blast and in the years following due to complications with exposure to radiation. In the aftermath of both bombs, there are eerie reminders of what happened in the form of shadows. These shadows were created by the people who were in that spot when the bomb detonated. The heat off the bomb reached around 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit and essentially bleached the concrete around the victims, leaving an outline of those who had no chance to make it out. The bombs Little Boy and Fat Man were dropped on August 6th and August 9th, respectively, over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Emperor Hirohito finally accepted defeat and announced Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. A formal declaration of surrender was signed on September 2, 1945, bringing an end to all hostilities in the Pacific and officially bringing World War II to an end. A simple photo of a teenager smiling into a camera is actually a look into the cold eyes of a murderer. Jeffrey Franklin was just 17 years old when he decided to end the lives of his parents and siblings in 1998. Armed with a hatchet and a sledgehammer, he killed his mother and father and critically wounded his 3 siblings in their Alabama home. When the chaos was over, he exited his home shirtless and covered in blood. A neighbor spotted him and called the police. Jeffrey was caught shortly after. This photo was taken after he was placed in the back of a police car. Many claim that his motive for doing this was of satanic ritual, with writings of sacrificing his own mother and sister, and an upside-down cross carved into his own torso. His defense claimed that he was abusing medication, snorting large amounts of Ritalin, a medication typically used to treat ADHD. Jeff was eventually handed 5 life sentences with the possibility of parole. As of August 2022, Franklin has been denied parole. In a similar photo, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley took it even further. He had admitted to his friends that he wanted to end his parents' lives. They had dismissed these statements, thinking it could never happen. A Saturday evening rolled around where he decided to do it and struck Blake and Mary Jo Hadley with a framing hammer. Tyler cleaned the mess and invited dozens of other teens and young adults to the Hadley home for a party. He told several different stories about where his parents were, saying that they were on a trip to Georgia or it was his own house. During the party, no one suspected a thing, and that is where this picture was taken of Tyler, trying to be carefree about the situation. Eventually, he had to let the truth out to one of his friends. He brought them into the bedroom to show them everything. In the early morning following the party, an anonymous tip was called in, where police were able to discover the deceased. Tyler had attempted to end his own life by abusing medication, but it failed. Tyler was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and was ineligible for the death penalty due to his age. Hurricane Katrina led to the evacuation of thousands, but there were a few brave souls that rode it out. Zach Bowen and Addie Hall chose to ride it out. After the hurricane passed, the couple hit a very rough patch, filled with accusations of cheating, alcohol abuse, and drug abuse. This photo was taken during that time, days after the storm had passed. Things came to a head on October 5th, 2006, when a fight broke out. It ended with Bowen strangling Hall in a bathtub. Bowen followed up by dismembering her body and putting the remains in the oven and refrigerator and on the stove. Police say that he was trying to remove flesh from the bone, attempting to dispose of the evidence. They also said there was nothing to support that any cannibalism whatsoever took place. Once the weight of the situation hit him, Bowen wrote on the walls, descending further into madness. He wrote, "Please call my wife. I love her. I'm a total failure. Look in the oven. Please help me stop the pain." Bowen turned to drugs and alcohol to numb himself with the situation. It wasn't enough, as he decided to take his own life, jumping from a local hotel roof. When police responded, they determined that he had died on impact. They found in his pocket a set of keys and a multi-paged note that included instructions of where to find